We haven't had a K-9 unit at Sylacauga Police Department in over 20 years. So, and I've been here for 15, so I haven't personally ever got to experience a K-9 unit since I've worked here. So we started examining what other tools that we could use and have here at the police department that we don't currently have. And the K-9 unit is one of those things that we don't currently, or we did not currently have at the time when we started initially looking at getting this program revitalized. So we began speaking with Chief Johnson and seeing what we could do about getting this program back. And everybody knows now, with budget restraints and just very limited resources that we have, we was pretty much put on an impossible task of starting this unit with almost zero funds. Chief said, sure, we can have a K-9 program if you can find a free dog. Well, considering that a trained police K-9 can cost anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000, you could see where we're really looking at a uphill battle getting that done. So took us several years, looked through many grants, and finally met a good guy named Danny Turner, who is over a company called K-9 in Anniston, Alabama. And he was able to put us through with 2 donations for both of our dogs through I think it's called First Foundation, I believe. And First Foundation actually donated the dogs to us. So, which was great because the dogs came to us fully trained already. The dogs were. Now, obviously, we had to put myself and the other handler through handler school to get that, but which was, like I say, we already had a lot of the work taken off of us because the dogs were already trained when we had got them. Typically what you see in police K-9 is you have 2 different sections of dogs where you have what we call floppy ear or pointy eared. The pointy eared dogs typically you see are your German Shepherds, your Malinois, or your Dutch Shepherds is what's more synonymous with, and they are more synonymous with police work. Whenever everybody sees that, everybody thinks of a German Shepherd. Those dogs historically go back to European bred dogs. Whenever that's historically speaking, the Europeans were using dogs for law enforcement military use way before they ever thought about using them here in America. So whenever police departments and the military thought about start using dogs for their programs, obviously they looked toward the European countries that already had used these dogs and started importing those dogs. So if we look over 100 years of time, that's why everybody thinks about a police dog. They see a German Shepherd or they see a pointy-ear type dog. That's why they think about that. And it's still actually very, very commonplace for a lot of the police dogs to actually be imported over from overseas because those dogs have been bred for generation after generation after generation for their workability. But obviously there's a certain limit of what Europe can produce as far as dogs go. So we have a strong line of field working dogs on the sports side here in the United States, especially with the labs, German short-haired pointers, some different types of spaniels. So people started thinking about, hey, we want dogs that can do detection work. What can we use besides German Shepherds? So that's when they get into what we call the floppy-eared dogs, which are those more your sporting breeds like we were just talking about a second ago. And those dogs are typically used in what we call single purpose or just the one purpose type job, which our dogs do, which is just detection. So that's where you kind of have that different, essentially the dogs can do the same thing as far as detection work goes. It's just sometimes your pointy-eared dogs can have a more capability for different type work whenever it comes to aggression or apprehension type work, whereas your floppy-eared dogs are not going to have. So you see a lot more of the floppy-eared dogs because their friendliness to be out in the world. And after 9/11 happened, obviously you had a lot of security concerns, and you had a lot of dogs in airports, at venues, and obviously a lot of people are scared of dogs, and especially of those pointy-eared dogs because the stigma goes behind of a pointy-eared dog, hey, it's going to bite me. So that's whenever they started using these floppy-eared dogs, because they are more approachable. They're friendlier looking dogs, because what is the most popular dog in the United States? It's a lab. So whenever they use the lab and the detection type work, they're a lot more friendlier. People don't seem to mind them as much, especially like in airports, sporting events and things like that. So that's why you see a lot more of your floppy-eared dogs more than you do your pointy-eared dogs in those type working environments. So my dog Dickie, she is a 5-year-old Labrador Retriever. She is trained to detect firearms. And where we use her at, she's used a lot in evidence recovery type situations where if we're looking for shell casings, a gun that may have been thrown out of the window, let's say in a car chase, any kind of reason that we could be looking at a firearm in the evidence side. And she's also used very proactively in the schools. We go to several schools, not just here in our Sylacauga City schools where we primarily use her, but she is used a lot for call-outs for other schools that may have a, I know we had Coosa County schools, we went and worked those schools. We went to Talladega County our Talladega City schools, and they had a gun threat. So we get called in to go work other schools as well. So that's what we use her in a proactive role of trying to deter kids from taking firearms in the schools. So we go run her pretty regular in those.
This K-9 Officer Drago, 7-year-old German Shepherd. We got him from IK-9 last year in April. Me and Drago went to K-9 Handler School in I believe we started in June. Went to 6-week class, and after that we got certified as a team. So we've been on patrol ever since then as a team. He's had several good finds. He stays at my house. Obviously, he goes home with me every day. He's just like one of the family now. Well, he's narcotics. He's detects marijuana, meth, cocaine, heroin, and he does a really good job at it. We train continuously. It's ongoing training. K-9 Drago, he would find them, then he would get rewarded with a toy, which his toy is a ball. He's got a high ball drive. So to him, it's, hey, I found it, I want my toy. Then after he finds you, play with him a little bit. You just reward him for the good job he does.